Section 9.3, Limiting Reactants. When you make a peanut butter sandwich for lunch, you need 2 slices of bread and 1 tablespoon of peanut butter for each sandwich. As an equation, we could write 2 slices of bread plus 1 tablespoon of peanut butter yields 1 peanut butter sandwich. If you have 8 slices of bread and a full jar of peanut butter, you will run out of bread after you make 4 peanut butter sandwiches. You cannot make any more sandwiches once the bread is used up, even though there's a lot of peanut butter left in the jar. The number of slices of bread has limited the number of sandwiches you can make. On a different day, you might have 8 slices of bread but only a tablespoon of peanut butter left in the peanut butter jar. You will run out of peanut butter after you make just 1 peanut butter sandwich and have 6 slices of bread left over. The small amount of peanut butter available has limited the amount of sandwiches you can make. The reactant that's completely used up is the limiting reactant. The reactant that does not completely react and is left over is called the excess reactant. Bread, 1 loaf, 20 slices. Peanut butter, 1 tablespoon, 1 sandwich. Limiting reactants, peanut butter. Excess reactant, bread. 4 slices of bread, 1 full jar of peanut butter, 2 sandwiches. Limiting reactants, the bread. Excess reactants, the peanut butter. 8 slices of bread in 1 full jar, 4 sandwiches. Limiting reactants, the bread. And the excess reactant is the peanut butter. Calculating moles of product from a limiting reactant. In a similar way, the reactants in a chemical reaction do not always combine in quantities that allow us to be used exactly at the same time. In many reactions, there is a limiting reactant that determines the amount of product that can be formed. When we know the quantities of the reactants of a chemical reaction, we calculate the amount of product that's possible from each reactant as if it were completely consumed. We are looking for the limiting reactant, the one that runs out first, producing the smaller amount of product. Calculating a mass of product from a limiting reactant. The quantities of the reactants can also be given in grams. The calculations to identify the limiting reactant are the same as before, but the grams of each reactant must first be converted to moles, then moles of product, and finally to grams of product. Then select the smaller mass of the product from which the complete use of the limiting reactant. This calculation is shown in sample problem 9.6.